So, Jeff, this would be, as Jonathan and I have been talking about, a massive deal, north of $200 billion if it went forward. Does it come as a surprise?
Well, so we're talking like 120, 130, $140 billion deal. Obviously, we don't know, what the price would actually be. Obviously, the biggest deal would be the biggest deal if it was last year. I think it's the biggest deal we would have had since maybe Verizon Vodafone, which goes back 4 or 5 years. All we know is that Kraft Heinz has been, the people behind Kraft Heinz would be the 3G people, the Brazilians. They are extraordinary at cutting costs. They run the businesses very lean. They get rid of a lot of people. They close a lot of factories, and they frighten the rest of the consumer space that they compete with. If they were able to do this deal with Unilever, they would be, probably, I don't know, if not the largest, very close to the largest consumer products company that exists in the world.
Yeah, Jeff, as I said, $200 billion, that includes both companies, but the market cap of both companies
that would be
north of $200 billion.
Exactly.
But you put your finger on it, the cost cutting that Kraft Heinz has managed. But it's been like 18 months since Kraft and Heinz got put together. What does this say about those abilities to cut costs?
What it says is they're really good at it. I've heard so many stories about people that work with 3G about how almost ridiculous they are and how much they scrutinize every single penny that gets spent. The 3G people are the same people that are behind the Anheuser-Busch acquisition that went on, years ago, and then the SAB-Miller deal, which came down the pike, I don't know, was it a year or so ago when ABI and SAB merged. So what it says is these guys know there's a lot of fat, a lot of overhead that can be taken out of these companies, especially these big consumer companies that sell food or beverages. And they look at Unilever and see a ripe target. Everyone knew 3G would do another big deal. They would take Kraft Heinz, and there would be more coming. No one knew who it might be. The question now is whether the leak, the fact that this came out in Alphaville, does this make it harder for Kraft to pull the deal off?
Jeff, it's the potential for a monster deal, and I want to go to 30,000 feet. Monster deals haven't gone down well recently. How does this one go down in D.C.?
Yeah, the fact that it's a U.S. company buying into Europe will make it easier in D.C. The question is, how is it going to go down in Europe? How are the politicians in the UK or in France or wherever, how are they going to view a deal where Unilever is being taken over? I haven't looked at the employee numbers of late, but Unilever, I'm sure has thousands and thousands of employees in a bunch of different countries. And again, given the 3G track record, the Kraft Heinz track record, they will get rid of people. There will be a lot of heads, a lot of jobs will be shed. And I think it'll be more okay in the U.S., actually, in D.C., than it's going to be over there in Europe.
Yeah, hey, Jeff, as you look at this sector, not lost on anyone this morning that both Mondelez and General Mills are trading lower in the pre-market as well. Is this a deal that could be, and then a series of deals that may no longer be on the table as well?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I would say General Mills was probably something people expected would happen, perhaps, or another one that people were looking at was Colgate. And that could be an area that if you were 3G and wanted to go in a different direction, they just raised a new fund, and people assumed they were going to go in another direction. And Colgate was a name that was pretty prominent, pretty high on that list, and Mondelez, as you mentioned as well. There were a lot of names out there where investors were hoping something would happen, and the share prices are going to fall probably over the next couple of days. Again, who knows if this deal's going to happen? There's a lot. These are hard deals to get done, and when one leaks so early into the process, when literally a bid just went in a couple days ago from what we understand, it makes it much harder to get a deal done.
Yeah, at the same time, it puts a lot of companies potentially in play because there might be something that comes out of it.